certain people because they're like, yo, these guys are from that family, like can't play those games, you know?
That's crazy.
Yeah, like
That's crazy.
I know people, like, I know a guy back home, 40 bodies, I swear to God.
Wow.
Walking free, serial, like, in the village, serial, like.
The world is full of psychopaths. The textbook definition of psychopathy is a neuropsychiatric disorder marked by deficient emotional responses, lack of empathy, and poor behavioral controls, commonly resulting in persistent antisocial deviance and criminal behavior. Now, when you think of a psychopathic killer, it's hard to pinpoint one profile because they come in all races, genders, and ages. But how about an 8-year-old? Today, we're going to examine the story of Amarjeet Sada, the world's youngest serial killer. Please be advised that this story is in no way to glorify violence, and some may be triggered by the stories you're about to hear. RIP to all the lives lost in this upcoming story, and condolences to their families. Please make sure to like and subscribe and let us know who you want to see next on our serial series. Now, before we start this story, I think we should give you a textbook definition of what a serial killer is. The Wikipedia definition explains a serial killer is typically a person who murders 3 or more persons, with the murders taking place over more than a month and including a significant period of time between them. While most authorities set a threshold of 3 murders, others extend it to 4 or lessen it to 2. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get into the history of our pre-teen killer. Amarjeet Sada was born in 1998 in Musahar, Bahir. His father was a laborer and his mother stayed home to raise Amarjeet, his older sister, and his younger sister who was born when he was just 7. Amarjeet was a reserved and quiet child and acted like any other 7-year-old would. As his household grew, his father decided to move his family to the small village of Musahar for more opportunities. The Musahar community in Nepal and in the Indian state of Bahir has a population of 2.5 million people. Despite the high population, the community is one of the most marginalized in India, and the majority of the people are barely able to make ends meet. An article from theglobalvoice.org explains, in the 2011 census, Musahars were the second to last in terms of literacy, with a rate of just around 20% after the Dom community. A vast majority of the community is landless and are still victims of untouchability and ethnic discrimination. According to Sahinja Sadar, a Musahar activist, their name itself, Musahar or eater of rats, alludes to their position within society. Musahar village was a very close community, with most of the inhabitants being related in some sort of way, and despite the hardships, the children of the community helped to bring some kind of joy and hope with their innocence, as they made up a big part of the population. The Sada family name was a common last name amongst many in Musahar, so you could imagine that so many of the issues that happened remained internal. In 2006, shortly after Amarjeet's family moved in, is when things started getting weird in the neighborhood. It started with Amarjeet's 6-year-old cousin. A younger girl from one of the Sada family's homes was outside playing with her cousins like any other day. When it was time to come home, all the cousins came back, but the 6-year-old girl never returned. The weird thing about it is that her parents never reported the disappearance to the police. It almost seemed like they pretended it never happened, and the rest of the village did the same. 6 months later, Amarjeet's mother had their 4th child, a baby girl. Shortly after the birth, she also went missing though. The neighborhood was in shock of this mysterious coincidence. However, the family continued to remain tight-lipped about the incident even after the loss of a 2nd child. It baffled the community how emotionless the parents were to this tragedy, especially with no explanation, no clues, and no arrests. In 2007 is when tragedy hit the Musahar community again. The 3rd victim this time was a 6-month-old girl named Kushba. Kushba's family was not related to the Sada family, and one day her mother dropped her off at a primary school in the village while she went to work. When she returned to pick up her child, she was shocked to realize that Kushba was missing. Unlike the Sada family, Kushba's mother was visibly frantic and extremely upset at the school for the disappearance. The school was extremely confused and concerned as well, and Kushba's mother started searching the streets of Musahar for her daughter. She went everywhere and asked everyone if they had seen her daughter until she ran into a member of the Sada family. Fortunately and unfortunately, the Sada woman had an idea of what happened to Kushba, and she escorted Kushba's mother to the police station. Kushba's mother reported her daughter missing, and the Sada woman retold the police what she had told the frantic woman. This immediately prompted the police to go to the small Musahar village to investigate their lead. The woman brought them directly to the area where the children regularly played games and right over to a group of kids. The police singled out one child right away and began their line of questioning, Amarjeet Sada. When they asked Amarjeet what happened to the missing girl, he responded in an emotionless, even tone. She's not missing. She is dead. And the reason I know this is because I killed her. The police were baffled and in disbelief, and at this point they thought the 8-year-old was trolling them and needed proof. Amarjeet instantly led the police through the neighborhood to a secluded area. As the police got closer to the scene, the anticipation and the scent started making their stomach turn. What Amarjeet led them to was some of the most gruesome shit you could imagine. Like a sick elementary show and tell, Amarjeet presented and explained the scene and how it came to be. What was discovered was a shallow grave with the decaying body of young Kushba as Amarjeet explained the horrific crime scene. With conviction, he described how he walked away from the school with young Kushba in his arms, unbeknownst to the school staff. He then brought it to the current crime scene where he proceeded to strangle the girl to hear the sound of her screams. When the child continued to cry incessantly, Amarjeet grew frustrated and picked up a nearby brick, striking the infant multiple times. With his childlike laugh, he confessed to the police, "I killed her," hitting her in the head with a brick repeatedly. He then buried his victim in a shallow grave and went about his day, home to his family, then out to play. The police could not believe what they heard, but the evidence and the confession was right there. Big salute to the sponsors, Diamond Club, with delivery all over the GTA and now all across Canada. They got the best selection of flour, edibles, and pens, and all types of goodies that you need. You can find them on their Instagram page, DiamondClub_Canada, or you can find them on the 7 Days of Weed app, as well as the Leafy Things app. Let them know that you heard about them through the We Love Hip Hop Network, and they may give you a discount. Big salute to Diamond Club. Cheer! The police immediately brought Amarjeet and his family to the police station to continue their interrogation. At the station, Amarjeet quietly waited in the interrogation room. He sat in a chair, legs swinging. Anytime a policeman would check on him, he would smile at them. At one point, he even demanded biscuits like he was on detention or on punishment for not doing his chores. During the interrogation, the rest of the unbelievable story unfolded. Amarjeet's confession went back to his first victim back in 2006, his cousin. He explained that he went with his cousin to a secluded area on a day that they were playing and explained the same sick ritual that took Kushba's life. The only difference with his cousin is that Amarjeet did elicit the emotion of fear from her. However, before she passed from strangulation, he finished her off with a rock in the same fashion he did Kushba. He immediately went home afterward and told his parents what he did. His parents subsequently grew worried for Amarjeet's mental health as well as his freedom, as he was only 7 years old and could not possibly know the levity of his actions. Even the parents of the deceased cousin knew about the incident, and the family decided to keep the matter internal and attempted to counsel Amarjeet on their own. Unfortunately, the internal counsel didn't work because 6 months later, when his baby sister was born, he committed the heinous act again. Amarjeet's second victim was his own baby sister, and the process was exactly as the first and the last in his confession. Obviously, a pattern was forming in the way that Amarjeet was taking his victims. This was another crushing blow to the Sada family, but somehow, some way, they found a way to keep it internal. The thing I find strange is only the body of Kushba was discovered. Since the Sada family knew of these gruesome crimes, did they dispose the body of their children after Amarjeet confessed to them? Either way, consequences had to be taken for Amarjeet's action, but the 8-year-old was too young to be tried as an adult. Amarjeet was sent to a juvenile home to serve his time in seclusion under heavy psychiatric care. During a psychological evaluation, it was discovered that Amarjeet suffered from a mental condition called conduct disorder and had an affinity for hurting people. Based on the CDC.gov website's definition, conduct disorder (CD) is diagnosed when children show an ongoing pattern of aggression towards others. These rule violations may involve breaking the law and result in arrests. As far as the Sada family cover-up, it is said that it is possible that the murders would have been brought to justice earlier if sons' lives were taken instead of daughters. Traditionally, sons are revered in Indian households and daughters as burdens. This is because men can grow up to work and bring an income into the household, while women traditionally stay at home and take care of the home and have more kids, adding to the home's population and expenditures. It was the third victim's non-relation to the Sada family that really turned the tide on the case, since Kushba's mother was not going to let her daughter's disappearance go unsolved. Amarjeet was held in a juvenile home until age 18, sometime in 2016, when he was released and given a new identity. At this point, Amarjeet Sada's whereabouts are unknown, and at the time of this recording in 2023, he'd be 25 years old. Could he possibly still be living in India, or moved overseas to Europe, the United States, or even Canada? Maybe he's living in Toronto as we speak. From a recent interview I conducted with Toronto rapper Roadrunner, he explained to me the importance of a last name in India and how that last name could even help you to get away with murder.
Certain people, because they're like, yo, these guys are from that family, like, can't play those games, you know?
That's crazy.
Yeah, like,
That's crazy.
I know people, like, I know a guy back home, 40 bodies, I swear to God.
Wow.
Walking free, serial, like, in the village, serial killer. Like,
Now, I don't know how much weight the Sada family name holds in the Musahar village where everything took place, but 2007 was definitely a pivotal time in the Sada's family history. Maybe that man that Roadrunner was talking about with the 40 bodies is an all-grown-up Amarjeet. At this point, this will always remain a mystery. Once again, condolences to the family and RIP to the 3 young girls. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you like the video, and let us know who you want to see next on our documentary series. Peace.